When Jesus had crossed again in the boat on the other side, a large crowd gathered around him, and he stayed close to the sea. One of the synagogue officials, named Jairus, came forward. Seeing him, he fell at his feet and pleaded earnestly with him, saying, "My daughter is at the point of death. Please come lay your hands on her, that she may get well and live." He went off with him, and a large crowd followed him. There was a woman afflicted with hemorrhages for 12 years. She had suffered greatly at the hands of many doctors, and had spent all that she had. Yet she was not helped, but only grew worse. She had heard about Jesus, and came up behind him in the crowd, and touched his cloak. She said, "If I touch his clothes, I shall be cured." Immediately her flow of blood dried up. She felt in her body that she was healed of her affliction. Jesus, aware at once that power had gone out of him, turned around in the crowd and asked, "Who has touched my clothes?" But his disciples said to him, "You see how the crowd is pressing upon you, and yet you ask, 'Who touched me?'" And he looked around to see who had done it. The woman, realizing what had happened to her, approached in fear and trembling. She fell down before Jesus and told him the whole truth. He said to her, "Daughter, your faith has saved you. Go in peace and be cured of your affliction." While he was still speaking, people from the synagogue official's house arrived and said, "Your daughter has died. Why trouble the teacher any longer?" Disregarding the message that was reported, Jesus said to the synagogue official, "Do not be afraid, just have faith." He did not allow anyone to accompany him inside except Peter, James, and John, the brother of James. When they arrived at the house of the synagogue official, he caught sight of a commotion, people weeping and wailing loudly. So he went in and said to them, "Why this commotion and weeping? The child is not dead, but asleep." And they ridiculed him. Then he put them all out. He took along the child's father and mother and those who were with him, and he entered the room where the child was. He took the child by the hand and said to her, "Talita cum," which means, "Little girl, I say to you, arise." The little girl, a child of 12, arose immediately and walked around. At that they were utterly astonished. He gave strict orders that no one should know this, and said that she should be given something to eat. The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. Today we see in this Gospel two events. First of all, we see that Jesus is being asked to go to this house to heal this little girl because she is gravely sick. She's about to die. But right before Jesus resolved this situation, another person comes in, this woman who was afflicted for many years. She had been searching healing everywhere, in each corner, but she was not healed. Even we read that she had suffered greatly at the hands of many doctors and had to spend all that she had. How can we apply this to our daily lives? Sometimes we spend everything to solve the problems without taking into account God's help. It's true that we can not only ask God to help us, we need to learn how to ask, because it's not prohibited to ask, but we need to learn how to ask. First, we need to give thanks to God for everything that He does in our lives. And after that, after we give Him thanks, we can say, Lord, if it's your will, I ask you this. Please, please, Lord, help me on this situation. Help me with this illness. Help me with my family. Help me with this economic problem. Help my city. Help my country. Therefore, it's not prohibited to ask, but we need to learn how to ask. We see this woman that she spent everything. And this also can happen to us. We might spend all of our energy and time in searching and looking for a solution to our problems, but we put aside God, and that's where we need to start. We need to give Him thanks. Then right after that, we can ask Him, Lord, if it's your will, help me. Look at this situation that I'm going through. Please help me if it's your will. But it's also an opportunity to say, Lord, I am willing to bear this pain, to bear this illness, because I know that this has a meaning. It has a meaning because I'm able to imitate you when you carry the cross. So it's not only that, but it's also an opportunity to say, Lord, I am willing to be like this, to imitate you, but help me, please, to bear witness of your love even when I'm ill, even in the midst of darkness. Help me, Lord, to be faithful to you. And then at the last phrase, we also just heard in the gospel saying that Jesus said to the synagogue official, do not be afraid, just have faith. This is a mass. How many times the word or the phrase repeats, do not be afraid. Do not be afraid, just trust. Also this phrase, how many times St. John Paul II used to say it, he always used to say it, do not be afraid, do not be afraid. Therefore, today I tell you, do not be afraid of your problems, of your illness, of your suffering. Offer them to the Lord and say, Lord, help me please with this situation. I ask you, Lord, to help me.